Hello everybody, Raddad Cooks here. Fire up the Tandooris because today we're whipping up chicken and some naan bread. Along that, we're gonna make an awesome curried couscous salad.
Cooking, not cleaning, we smoking and seasoning, grilling, sauteing, and chilling is the reason. Raddad Cooks, y'all.
Now, tandoori chicken isn't called tandoori because of the type of spice that's on it. Tandoori is actually a type of clay oven used in India and all throughout the Middle East, and that's where this chicken dish gets its name from. Also, naan is traditionally cooked inside one of these tandoori ovens as well. It's thrown up against the ceiling where it sticks, so it gets brown on one side and the flame comes up and cooks the reverse side at the same exact time. Of course, we don't have a tandoori here in the backyard, but I'm gonna show y'all how you can whip it up at home just as good. Let's get going. The naan dough is super simple. There are some very complex recipes out there that use a lot of different ingredients, take a little bit longer to rise, but I'm trying to keep it simple for y'all. So we're going minimum ingredients and minimum amount of time for this naan dough to rise so we can get it cooked up. Traditionally, the leavening agents used for naan bread are yogurt. It's got a little bit of bacteria, kind of gets that fermentation going, and some chemical agents like baking soda or baking powder, or a combination of the two. Today we're gonna be using yeast. It's gonna make this get a little bit more airy, and it's gonna just rise a lot faster for us. Our naan dough, like I said, is very simple. It's only gonna use some flour. For flour, you wanna use bread flour or a high protein flour. I like King Arthur, it comes in a blue bag. It's just labeled as bread flour. All-purpose flour won't get you the consistency that you're looking for. A little bit of dry active yeast. We're gonna use about 8 grams of that, or a little bit over a 1/4 teaspoon. Salt, 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Could add more or less. You know me, I try to watch the salt in the beginning so that way I can douse it in the end. About a 1/4 cup of extra virgin olive oil and a 1/2 cup of lukewarm water. We're gonna get started by adding 8 grams. So we're gonna start by adding 8 grams of our dry yeast into this water. Kind of give it a second to rehydrate. Let's let that yeast sit up there on the top. Take our salt, we're just gonna add it right into our flour. Mix it up. After about a minute, once our yeast layer on the top of that water has become hydrated, go ahead and just give it a little whisk with a fork. And we're gonna slowly start adding it into our flour. Could do this with the KitchenAid, but figured we'd do it old school. Make a little carving, a little hole in the middle of your flour, and then just slowly start working that liquid into the center, making circles with your spoon wider as you add more liquid. This dough's gonna be a little bit on the dry side, a little bit drier than pizza dough. Now that we got all that water in, we're gonna go ahead and add our 1/4 cup of extra virgin olive oil. After a few minutes of stirring up that dough, it's gonna start to come together. Now we can turn it onto a floured surface and knead it for about 3 or 4 minutes. In the beginning, the dough is gonna look really kind of tough and not homogeneous, a little dry. But as you're working this with your hands, you're working and creating glutens from the protein inside of this flour. It's gonna make it kind of get tough and stay together. And then after it gets about 30 minutes to rest, it's gonna get a lot more smooth. definitely a labor of love doing it by hand. Each time you roll your knuckles into it, fold it on itself, and knead it again. Pretty sure in the little villages, this is how they're doing it. I don't have KitchenAids out there. All right, once we have something that pretty much resembles a dough ball, we're gonna put it back into our bowl, hit it with a little oil so it doesn't dry out, cover it with plastic, and put it in a warm area for at least an hour. The next item on our prep list is gonna be our couscous salad. First, we're gonna start off with some couscous. The way you wanna prep this is 2 cups of couscous to 2 cups water. I season my water with a little bit of olive oil, about a tablespoon, half a teaspoon of salt, and then I added a teaspoon and a half of Better Than Bouillon brand vegetable base to it. Kind of going for the vegetarian vibe, but you can do chicken base too if you're a killer carnivore. Once you get that broth up to a boil, add your 2 cups of couscous, remove from the heat, put the lid on for 15 minutes. After the 15 minutes is done, fork them to fluff them up and separate them, and put them into a large mixing bowl so that way we can add the rest of the ingredients. The couscous is kind of al dente, a little firm to the teeth, as they say, but I kind of like it. It's a good texture. I guess I've maybe only ever eaten overcooked couscous before. So the dressing is pretty simple. It's just a 1/3 cup of olive oil, 1/3 cup of apple cider vinegar, 3 tablespoons of honey to sweeten it. I guess if you're a vegan, you use agave nectar. And then we're gonna use 2 tablespoons of curry powder. This is just some good old-fashioned organic curry powder from my favorite place, Costco. You know, I get a lot of people hitting me up saying, Raddad Cooks, why don't you do more organic recipes? But I mean, it's 2021. All you gotta do to make a recipe organic is just purchase organic stuff. So I'm just assuming that's what y'all are using out there, so I don't even really bring it up. But yeah, we got some organic apple cider vinegar, 1/3 cup. It's got the mother in it too, so you'll get a little bit of health benefits from that. For the oil, this is some olive oil from Eagle Ridge Winery. It's nothing I would cook with. I just kind of pull it out for dressings, maybe dipping some bread in. We're just gonna eyeball the honey. Some thick honey. Last is our curry powder. Now you could whisk this up, but one of my favorite ways to make vinaigrettes is just put them in a mason jar and just shake them like a martini. You'll be able to see how well it's emulsifying, see if you need more oil or more vinegar. So it's like it's good. It's gotta get that last little bit of curry powder that's stuck on the walls of the jar off. Let's give it a little taste. Wow, that's really good. Not quite sweet. If you like it sweet, make it sweet, but definitely don't overdo the honey. It's just kind of take the edge off that curry powder. All right, so going into our couscous, we're gonna do 1/2 cup of finely chopped parsley, 3 thinly sliced green onions, 2 celery stalks, around 3 carrots, kind of smaller carrots, but you know, the organic ones aren't that big. I'm gonna cut these into big chunks and I'm gonna put them in a little mini food processor to get them as fine as possible. You could do it on a cheese grating box, but I don't like busting up my knuckles on that thing. I'll just let the machine do the work. Also, we're gonna be adding 1 cup of canned garbanzo beans or chickpeas, whatever you call them. Rinse them in some water to get all that canned goo off them and drain them real good. 1 cup of these. I'm gonna go with 1/2 cup of raisins. You can use craisins if you like cranberries. And then 2 tablespoons of preserved lemon. Now this is a Mediterranean thing. I think Morocco, somewhere around there is where it came from. I actually do have a video on making these. If you don't have preserved lemons on hand or don't feel like waiting the 3 weeks it takes to get them made proper, you can make your own by just small dicing up a Meyer lemon. Make sure you use a Meyer, that's kind of like the traditional lemon. The Eureka ones are a little bit different of a citrus flavor profile, so keep it OG, use those Meyers. We're gonna dice them up and just layer in a little bit of salt, let them sit for an hour or two, and it won't be the exact match, but it'll get you pretty close. Once you have all your ingredients measured out and cut up, you go ahead and stir them into your couscous. And then we're gonna slowly start adding our curry dressing. The last thing that we need to prep for our tandoori chicken barbecue cookout meal is going to be the marinade for our chicken. Now, tandoori chicken is a mix of a bunch of different spices. I'm using a pre-made tandoori spice. You can find it at most little Middle Eastern stores. And if you don't live in like a major metropolitan area that has this, you can find it on Amazon, and there will be a link in the description below. Now, I prepare this tandoori seasoning by first bringing a tablespoon and a half of olive oil up to heat on my stove, and I saute in with that 2 tablespoons of minced fresh ginger and 2 tablespoons of fresh garlic. Over medium heat, I let the oil render the flavors from the garlic and the ginger. And after about 2 or 3 minutes, then I add in 2 tablespoons of the dry tandoori seasoning. Now, if you look at the ingredients on this, it's pretty basic stuff. It's just a lot easier to buy the pre-made one and to buy all that stuff individually and mix it up. It's almost a better value just to buy it. So I got no shame in using the pre-made tandoori spice, and either should you. But this step with the oil really takes it to the next level. So after you have your ginger and your garlic inside your oil for about 3-4 minutes, then you're gonna add 2 tablespoons of that tandoori spice in there and mix it up. And then we're gonna continue to cook it with the seasoning in there for a little bit till it gets fragrant. It might kind of dry up some of your oil. If that's the case, just squirt in another ½ teaspoon of oil or so to get it lubed back up and cook it for about a minute or 2, or fragrant. So we're gonna go ahead and put that tandoori seasoning in our bowl. Also, yogurt. Yogurt's used a lot in this Middle Eastern, Indian style cuisine as a meat tenderizer. And you definitely want to be careful with this stuff because it will get like a mushy, weird kind of texture if you let it go too long. If you let it go for an extremely long time, it's just gonna digest the meat till nothing. So on goat and certain other like tougher cuts of meat, this really works, but on chicken, you want to be very careful. We're putting a 1/4 cup of unflavored, plain Greek yogurt. Last ingredient is just going to be some lemon juice. Again, with the lemon juice, you don't want to overdo it because the lemon juice will kind of chemically cook your meat. You know, lemon juice is used to cook ceviche, kind of do the same thing to the chicken. So just don't go overboard to prevent your chicken from getting an off texture. I'm using Meyer's lemons. They're kind of the traditional variety and they're a little bit smaller. So I'm gonna do the juice of 1½ Meyer's lemons. Now we're gonna stir our marinade. All right, now that the marinade's mixed up, we'll do the last little step. I always gotta taste. We'll do our last little step, which is gonna be to remove the skin from our chicken. The best cuts of chicken for this are gonna be drummies and thighs, but you don't wanna have skin, but you do wanna have bones. So as you know, they sell boneless, skinless. We bought bone on with the skin. We're just gonna remove the skin real quick. To remove the skin, you're pretty much just gonna grab it and just pull it down. It'll come right off around the bone. Just like this. Skinless. You notice I like to do all the chicken at the end, so that way I don't have any chances of getting any cross-contamination between these chicken hands and that salad that's already ready to eat and not gonna get cooked. There are some recipes that leave the skins on, but I just think you get a little bit better penetration of that marinade with the skins off. Now with the thighs, you can just get your thumb up under that skin and it just pulls right off. When you're dealing with raw chicken, you want to try and get set up so you don't have to touch a bunch of stuff all over your house. So have everything ready. So I had a pan for my chicken, a pan for my skin. That way I'm not all sloppy, chicken parts all over the place. So the next thing we want to do, now that we got our chicken deskinned, is we're going to put some slices in it. We want to do about 3 slices in each of these pieces. Just like this. That's going to help the marinade penetrate. On the drums, we'll just go slice here, slice there, slice there. Now that we got the skin off all of our meat and we got our slices cut through them, we're gonna start to massage on our marinade that we've created. Now it's not gonna really look like a lot, but trust me, it's gonna be enough. This is very potent flavor in these seasonings. You wanna get in there too. Yeah, use those fingers to get all of that seasoning into those slits. Now that our chicken's been thoroughly treated to some of our rub, we're gonna let it sit in the fridge for a minimum of an hour, but you really don't wanna go more than 2 on this, or you'll get that awkward, mushy texture because the yogurt is gonna break down the meat far beyond what you want it to do. Another thing you're gonna notice about this is it's yellow. So tandoori chicken, a lot of times when you see it at the restaurant, it's red. It is gonna get a little bit of that red color from being smoked, but for the most part, that red comes from dye. So it's up to you. You can add the dye if you'd like to have it red. Probably take about 8 drops of red food dye to get it to where it needs to be. I'm just gonna skip the dye and go yellow. Right now I'm drinking a Huckleberry IPA from Lazy Dog Brewing. It's not a sponsor, nothing, just letting you know what I'm drinking, and it is freaking good, man. If you live out in California, they got them out here. And they got one in Vegas too, so definitely next time y'all are in Vegas, check out the Lazy Dog Brewing. It's freaking good. So when it comes to cooking our chicken, we have several options. We don't have a tandoori oven, but we're gonna try our best to mimic it and get the flavors just right. So option number one is a charcoal grill, which we don't have, but option two will work just like the charcoal grill. You just won't be able to control your temperatures with the gas knobs. You're gonna have to move the coals around. But when we cook our chicken tandoori, we wanna hit it with heat first, blitz it to get it to crisp up, and then we wanna slow cook it after that to get it really kind of tender. Now remember, this is dark meat chicken, so it's a little bit more forgiving. It's got a little bit higher of an oil content, and it's bone in, which is naturally gonna make it a little bit more moist than something that's boneless. So on the grill, we're gonna blitz one side hot. The other side is gonna have no heat at all. We're gonna sear our chicken for a few minutes on each side and then move it over to the indirect side and slowly cook it for about 20-25 minutes. Now, if you have a gas grill, you're not gonna quite get the wooden flavor because the tandooris are wood powered, so it's kind of smoky, but we got an electric smoker. So the third option is to sear the chicken real nice for about 5 minutes or so, and then place it into a preheated smoker with just a little bit of smoke. Just get the wood chips in there, get them nice and burning, and then add the chicken. Once the wood chips are done, don't add any more, just a light little smoking. If you don't have a smoker and you still want to get that wood flavor, you could always use one of those tubes that you can put Traeger pellets in, or if you've modified your grill like I have with the ceramic briquettes, you can actually just drop a couple little wood chips on there and let them smoke on the direct heat side while your chicken's on the indirect side to give it a little bit of that smoky flavor. The last option we have to substitute a traditional tandoori oven, if we don't have the grill, the smoker, or anything outside, we got the modern marvel of the air fryer. I'm sure there's people in parts of the world that'd probably kill for one of these, or at least give someone they don't like away. But this does a very good job of getting the chicken crispy and then slow cooking it. And the way we do that in the air fryer is we put the chicken up on the top rack and we're gonna let it cook for 5 minutes at 400 degrees. Flip the chicken, let it go another 5 minutes at 400 degrees, and that'll get it nice and crisped up. And then we're gonna move it to the middle rack and then cook it at 325 for 25 to 30 minutes, or whenever your chicken reaches an internal temperature of 165 degrees. So our chicken is done marinating. It's been about an hour, and we have all of our cooking devices heated up. We're gonna be making it 3 different ways. One, just on the grill, sear it, then indirect heat. Second one is gonna be on the grill, sear it, and then move it to the smoker. And the third is going to be inside of the air fryer. Now, one thing I do recommend if you're gonna do the air fryer method, when you're whipping up your mixture with your tandoori seasoning spice blend and your yogurt and your lemon juice, put about a half a teaspoon of liquid smoke in there, and that'll help you get some smoky flavor. Of course, if you don't like smoke, forget what I just said. All right, so the first batch we're gonna get going is gonna be our air fryer. Do a thigh, a couple drummies. Remember, we're gonna put this on the top shelf of the air fryer for about 5 minutes, maybe a little bit more if it needs a little bit more time to crisp up. We're looking to get a nice kind of sear up on top of here. Next, we're gonna sear the rest of the chicken, and then half of it's gonna go into the smoker, the other half is gonna move to indirect heat on the propane grill. You wanna make sure that your grill surface is very clean. That chicken on there. Also, if you look at your grill, more often than not, towards the front of the grill is gonna be closer to the heating elements. So you're gonna get a little bit better of a sear up front. We're gonna let that chicken go ahead and sear up for about 5 minutes on each side. After about 10 minutes of turning our chicken on the grill, we got a real nice char on it. You know, it really wasn't cooked at all, but that's because we just wanted to get the outside charred up, and then we're gonna slow cook it on indirect heat around 325 degrees, so adjust your knobs on your grill accordingly. The other third of the chicken that was on the grill getting seared got put into the smoker. The smoker is preheated to 275 and it has a little bit of mesquite wood in there, but just a very light amount with the smoke vent all the way open. Always want to have that thing all the way open. And we're gonna leave it in there for about 30 minutes or so, about as long as we're gonna have the chicken on the indirect heat of the grill. For the air fryer, we ended up going 7 minutes on each side on the top shelf at 400 degrees. And then we moved it down one rack and set it to 325 degrees, and we'll let it cook for 20 minutes. So all of our chicken and naan is ready. Now is the best time to taste it all. We have our chicken tandoori that we made inside of our air fryer. It went on the top shelf at 400 degrees, 7 minutes each side, down to the middle shelf, 325 for 25 minutes. Then we have our chicken tandoori out of our grill smoker combo. This got seared on high heat on the grill for about 10 minutes, just rotating it to get all sides nice and charred up. And then it got put into a smoker at 275 with just a little bit of mesquite wood, and it was smoked for 1 hour, rotating it every 15 minutes. Lastly, the chicken tandoori off our gas grill. This was seared on high for 10 minutes, just like the smoker one was, and then it was moved to indirect heat, and the grill was kept between 350 and 400 for an hour, rotating it every 15 minutes. For our naan breads, we have a couple naan breads that we made inside of our air fryer. Now this one was put on the top shelf, 400 for 10 minutes. This one was top shelf, 400 for 6 minutes. A little bit darker on this one, and these kind of are more of that crispy, crackery type naan bread that I've had at some Indian places. The next one is my favorite. This is one we did inside the cast iron pan. Just a little bit of oil, crank the heat up. I had it on the gas side burner of my grill, so it got really hot. It was outside. Definitely do this outside because you don't want to be smoking your joint out. But high heat, a little bit of oil, about a minute on each side. You get really nice leoparding on the front side, and then some real fat bubbles on the second side. And this is more of like what I remember from good restaurants, whenever they make the naan bread to order for you. Nice olive oil taste in this since you use oil in the pan. The last naan bread we made was a naan bread that we put on the grill. Now this we grilled for about a minute on each side. It was kind of on the first side for a little too long. I would have shaved a little bit of time off. It got really charred up. But the interesting thing about whenever you cook bread on the grill like this is that black stuff doesn't taste bad, it doesn't taste burnt, it tastes amazing. The grilled one is kind of in between the pan and the air fryer. But my favorite so far is the pan. Let's try this chicken. First with the air fryer. The air fryer has a really nice crisp on it. Very nice char. Meats fall off the bone. The next bite is going to be from our smoker one. This one does, out of all of them, look to be the juiciest. And I'm thinking it's going to be the most flavorful. Now this tastes exactly like it does at a good image. A little bit of that smoke. I would say I'd probably use a milder wood next time, like a pecan or maybe almond. This is mesquite, very strong wood. That's why I went kind of light on the smoke, but we'll definitely use a lighter smoke next time. The last bite is going to be off the grill. Now this one got the best char marks of them all, and something I did to kind of keep it moist is I was just basting it with a little bit of chicken broth every time I turned it. This one, the tandoori seasoning really comes through. Smoke kind of covers it up a little bit. I think this one is probably the most flavorful as far as the seasonings that we put on the chicken goes. So, yeah, 3 different types right here. Give them all a try. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think. Which one is your favorite? My personal favorite is the cast iron naans with the smoker tandoori chicken. Everything's always way better with dip and sauce too. I made some easy tzatziki just by shredding up a little bit of cucumber, mixing it with about a half a cup of Greek yogurt, 2 garlic cloves minced, a little Greek seasoning, a little dry cilantro, a little dried mint, and a little bit of fresh lemon zest. Man, that is a hell of a dipping sauce. I'm glad y'all got a chance to stop by today and do a little bit of experimentation with me on this chicken tandoori naan bread adventure. Thank you very much, and we'll see y'all next time. Peace.
Thank you for tuning in, and if you love the content of this video, hit like on the way out. If you're new, become part of the Raddad Cooks ecosystem by subscribing and dinging that notification bell.